Hey, how's it going, guys? So we're back with another Star Citizen video. If you're new channel, welcome. So today we're going to be checking out another Inside Star Citizen. This one is called Inside Star Citizen Gatac, or Gatac's back. I hope I said that correctly. If I remember correctly, Gatac was the name of one of the alien ship companies from one of the ship commercials. I forgot which ship it was, but I know it was an alien company if I remember correctly. But that's all I got. So without anything else, let's just jump into it.
The first time I saw the concept of the Sulin, I immediately went over to Ben Curtis and asked him if I could make it.
By yourself?
By myself.
Oh, a solo design.
Michael Oberschneider did the Raylan, and I scouted a lot in his old sketches and the first phase of the ship, and I found a pretty nice triangle sketch, and that's where we started from.
We really wanted to have this feeling of grandeur. It's a relatively small ship, but all its kind of stylings and its shape, language and forms really are there to make it feel strong and impactful. And so we really tried to kind of push that as much as we can.
Wow, look at the ship. I forgot which commercial it was, but...
The Gatac Sulin is Gatac's introduction to the civilian space market with a essentially starter ship from an alien race.
It's
a
kind of
starter
really
ship?
defining what that manufacturer is for us.
It has everything any player needs to take their first steps in the universe. It can carry cargo. It's got onboard living quarters and a good selection of weaponry for a starter to not die immediately when you get out into hostile space.
When the player first sees...
Okay, I think I'm starting to remember this ship. If I remember correctly, it was the ship commercial where this guy was just like walking out and this ship was landing, if I remember correctly, that ship commercial. But either way, that looks really cool. Like the sides of it, you can see like alien writing on it, and the material kind of looks like stone or marble.
The Sulin,
instead of metal.
We really wanted it to feel kind of just super imposing. It's got this amazing stance where it's kind of towering above you.
The Sulin is almost this monolithic structure that will appear in your hangar, unlike anything you'll have seen before. It's very dominating, almost Sith-like, dare I say it.
With its vertical design, it looks completely different to any other starter ship that we've brought out before.
You'll notice it's a very polished ship, very deliberate with all of its forms and shapes, but then when it comes to its mechanical structure, it's not like our manufacturers like Origin, where it's very high-end but exposed almost, more like Drake. So you'll see all the mechanisms, all the inner workings. As you approach the interior of the ship, you'll notice a little button on the side. You press that, and the wall of the exterior will cascade down into a set of stairs.
You'll be greeted by like this
cool.
crazy Gravlev sort of animation where the sort of wall fractures and spreads out. Something rooted in the Xi'an lore about their trivial use of Gravlev tech, and just to be able to see it like sort of do something crazy that we can't do with most of the ships is really cool.
As you enter the ship,
so that's what makes
you'll be
unique.
in what...
But then again, that's how it's usually shown in like movies, TV shows, and video games. Whatever alien race that the humans encounter will always be more advanced in weaponry, technology, and everything than them. So the fact that it is like a grav lift stairs, that is actually something I haven't seen in any of the other human ships except for I think one, but I forgot which ship it was. So it does make sense. That's what makes it unique for this ship. The material, the looks of it, and also technology. Like I said, the aliens that were shown in movies and video games, their technology is shown as much more advanced and much more powerful than the humans.
What we call the airlock, or the ground floor, kind of like an engineering space. All the walls feel quite clean, quite sleek.
You'll get quite an unusual sense of the place because of the rock materials that you've got going on that feel very alien when you walk onto a spaceship.
All of the walls, the panels fly out, separate, and reveal these crazy big component bays, an armor locker, and also a really cool weapon rack that pops out the wall using that cool grav tech we spoke about.
Kind of looks like something
two of
from
those
Halo.
component bays, you'll notice the lift embedded.
I don't know if it's the purple, but it kind of reminds me of those like big sphere pods where all the weapons are in from the Covenant in Halo.
into the floor. It's got a really cool glass floor to it, and you'll notice a nice hover plate of Xi'an text, which we've kindly translated into English for you.
We wanted it to feel like it could be inhabited by both Xi'an and human. That was kind of like a design ethos we had.
Xi'an.
So
okay, so that's the name of the aliens.
Features both.
So once you use the lift to enter the habitation deck, you'll notice a really nice small space, quite simplistic, but that's kind of like how the Xi'an like it.
The Xi'an are very close to nature. We wanted to create this sort of like cave feeling in a couple of places. That was in the bed, and that's a really nice little area for you to lie down at the end of a journey.
That's cool.
Kind of like a hab almost, like the way it kind of is embedded into the wall. Still comfortable though, I can assure you.
It's a lot warmer, a lot more inviting, yet through its materials it still feels like a bit alien. On your left, you've got a bathroom.
You're talking to Lloyd about the bathroom, right?
The bathroom is, you could say complicated, I would say amazing in terms of design.
It's like really
definitely
small
over-engineered.
though.
The first thing you will notice is this silver sink almost on the left-hand side.
Which will serve two purposes if you know a little bit about Xi'an lore. So Xi'an poop a little bit differently to humans, so they use that, we use our toilet. The whole door breaks into a load of pieces.
So the sink is the Xi'an's toilet.
The toilet roll holder sort of assembles itself.
With the most elaborate animation I think that's ever been put into a video game for toilets.
And again, it was just sort of a show of what's trivial to them is like elegance and high-class design to us. It was just a nice little feature. We wanted to incorporate that sort of how they would live if they were on the ship and how humans would live on the ship.
Okay, so modified for humans.
As you go up into the cockpit, you then have a full open space.
What I like to call the cathedral.
Cathedral.
The light cascades down and you see the seat presented to you almost like an altar. You enter the seat and you float up on your back, almost like you're about to launch into space on a rocket.
Whoa.
And this massive mechanism of plates assemble behind you using Gravtech to hold your seat in place. Really makes you feel like a badass just before you take off.
One of the best experiences in the ship is when you sit in that pilot seat and it kind of transforms and the ship moves around you to kind of put you up into the position within the canopy. With most of our ships, you sit horizontal to the gravity plane, whereas with this, you're sat on your back, kind of facing straight up to the stars.
The world is a completely different angle, and it gives a completely different feel to the ship.
For the art team, the vertical takeoff was great. It was one of the things that we were like super keen on getting in from the very start. It may have caused a few headaches for some of the other departments that we work with. There was quite a few people that kind of doubted whether or not it was going to function. But visually, it gives such a nice kind of silhouette to the ship.
I like the fact that we were applying very traditional technology in space exploration to something so advanced.
Flying it is one of those things, the first time you take off in it, your brain has to do a bit of recalibration compared to every other ship in the game.
If you look at the stars, you will see them going from up to down and not from left to right.
Fundamentally, you still fly in the direction you're pointing.
I
it's
really
just
like
that
the
you
shape
land
of
and
it.
take off essentially 90 degrees to what you are adjusted to. If you throttle forwards, you go up, but that's the direction the ship is pointed.
Obviously, Xi'an use Gravtech quite a lot, and we wanted to make sure we leverage that as much as possible. However, for things such as wings and thrusters, I think it's really important that we keep that to a minimum. If something's heavy, like we can't rely on gravity to keep it on.
It has probably the most amount of maneuvering thrusters, I think, of a ship of this size, 24. That is simply to make it one of the most agile starter ships in the game and to cover the required maneuvering angles on a ship when it transforms. So once you've taken off and you retract the landing gear, the ship transforms slightly into a more expanded state. The three main thrusters change angle, the wings change angle, and then this requires the maneuvering thrusters to sort of compensate for that. So the amount of thrusters the ship has allows it to be pretty agile regardless of state, regardless of atmosphere or space.
Oh, I prefer the vertical takeoff compared to the normal. It's just a completely different feel and you can land in tighter spaces.
My favourite part of the ship is definitely the way it transforms out of landing mode into deployed. All of the wings fold back, so the landing gear is actually built into the edges of each of the wings. At night, it's even cooler.
Really
all
cool.
of the headlights move around because they're all animated on part of the wing, and so does the light pop out of the end of the landing gear, which lights up those big pieces.
Landing it requires a little bit of adjustment compared to traditional flight in Star Citizen. You deploy your landing gear as you would
So the wings are the landing
gear comes
gear.
down. Instead of landing on your belly, you essentially land on your behind.
It kind of gives the nod back to some of our classic kind of modern day space shuttles, but it kind of gives a real unique experience on takeoff and landing.
It takes a little bit of getting used to, but the payoff is just the way the ship flies and the silhouette of it and just the unique feeling, making it feel really alien compared to our other ships.
So being the first ship from the manufacturer Gatac that people were going to see in game, for me it was really important that it had a real impact on the player.
I think players will appreciate the fact of how much we've managed to fit into such a small platform.
So the Sulin is pitched as a starter ship, but it sort of goes beyond some of our other starter ships. It has a lot of onboard living, so it allows you to do a little bit of exploration, a little bit of pathfinding. It's not as good as dedicated explorers or pathfinders, but it is sort of better than other starters in that regard. The big unique factor of the Sulin is simply the visual style, being an alien ship.
I think we've not had very many opportunities to really show off what we can do with our alien races yet, and so this for us was a real opportunity to
I like the color of the
that ship
thrusters
from
and the
our
engines.
more human manufacturers.
The overall feel of the ship is far, far different to any other that came before it.
We tried to build a bit of mystery on how this thing works. It was quite exciting to try something different from the usual way we did spaceships.
The concept is completely striking, unlike anything I'd seen. Obviously, being a fan of vehicles full stop, regardless of whether they're a spaceship, ground vehicle, real or fictional, seeing this was unlike anything I'd ever experienced before, and I was desperate to be part of the construction of it.
Compared to our other starships, this is something entirely different, both flight and visual, and that sort of sets it apart from the others. If you just don't want to be run-of-the-mill Star Citizen player, then the Sulin is for you.
So if you want to be different and have something unique, then this is your ship. Crusader Spirit C1. Oh, so we're talking about more than one ship today?
The Crusader Spirit C1 is the cargo variant of the Crusader Spirit series. It swaps out the bomb bay, the central section of the ship, for a large cargo hold. It fits some of our ground vehicles in it, and it's really very much a purpose-built kind of cargo hauler.
I did watch
the whole thing on the edge.
I did watch a architect review by Morphologist video about this ship, so if you guys haven't seen it already, go check it out too.
On a CitizenCon, it's basically that, but just with cargo. No. Nope. Nope. Nope.
Feel the spirit.
The Spirit C1 is the cargo hauler of the Spirit family.
This is Crusader Industries' Cutlass competitor.
Its closest competitors are the Cutlass Black and the Freelancer. They're all roughly about the same size, the same cargo capacity. Compared to our other cargo ships in the game, this sits in sort of the lower half of straight cargo capacity. Certainly compared to some of the other Crusader ships like the Starlifters that carry a huge amount of cargo, this is on the lower end. You can put 32 SU cargo crates in there, or you can put vehicles in there. It's not a dedicated vehicle hauler, but there are a lot of vehicles Cyclone-sized and below that will fit inside it. It utilises that central room to essentially be stripped out and filled full of cargo, and it can carry them internally, which affords that cargo some protection. So compared to, say, a Hull A, which has the same cargo capacity, you are trading off the quick access of being able to put it on the outside of the Hull A for the security of having it on the inside of the Spirit.
For the styling of the Spirit, we try to keep that Crusader DNA in there, so it's all very like sleek, continuous paneling with like little pockets of like high-tech greeble in there.
It's a lot like the Starlifter in visual style. I would try to take all the good elements and fun elements of that, compact it down into a, not a small area, but a smaller area. So I
like a
stripped
compact
down
version.
the bomber variant of the Spirit, stretched out the floor detailing from the rear, especially the tracks, to make it suitable for vehicles to get in there. Made some big areas on the side so you can fit the really huge SCU containers on there. The walls, they've got a very specific shape, and that is so that those big containers can fit in there without hitting the edges. We're trying to keep that Crusader style in there as well. It's got some fun lighting in there to show off all the bits and gubbins.
It's all very nicely sandwiched.
Sandwiched?
Nicely sandwiched. So you've got like the bread, which is like the nice paneling, and then you've got like the filling, which is like all the nice black greeble. Greeble sandwich.
Being a Crusader ship, the Spirit C1 is
that's one way to describe it.
Hauler. It looks fast, it is fast.
It's well armoured, well armed for fast transport of that valuable cargo.
So on the exterior, the main difference on the C1 versus the other variants is we've cleaned up the top of the ship.
You'll notice that
very
the
sleek
roof kind of switches out. So the C1 has more of like a sleek, simplified roof.
It's a little bit more aerodynamic.
So to help you load cargo in and out of the ship, especially those larger cargo crate sizes, there is a tractor beam turret on the rear of the ship that can transform from being on top of the ship to help you grab cargo to around the underside of it to help you actually physically load it into the ship and arrange it onto the cargo grids within.
I don't think morphologies
When we think about variants, I think it's personally important that we're not just talking about kind of a loadout change and a tint palette change. For me, I think the more we can do with both the interior and the exterior to really sell the idea that this is a separate ship is kind of super important. With the Spirit, we've made some changes to the exterior and interior, as well as the normal loadout changes. And that, for me, just adds a little bit more value to what we class as a variant ship. It's not a case that we can always afford to do that for all of our ships, but where we can, that's the way we like to go.
So you've got the Cutlass Black for the Drake owners who like doing Drake things. You've got the Freelancer for the working class of the universe. And then if you want style and speed, then the Spirit C1's there. And you'll look a lot cooler doing it too.
Tumbrel Storm. All right, so we're looking at another vehicle. Oh, a tank.
So one of the big questions we always get is, what changed from the concept and to the production model? And I think really with the Storm, Alberto just kind of nailed the concept from day one.
I'm not going to say that in public.
The concept is so good.
Because my concept was so good. Why? It's so cringe.
All right, Storm Chaser.
The Storm is a light tank from Tumbrel that values speed and agility over raw armor and firepower.
Tumbrel Storm is a light scout tank, a single-seater.
It's the Nova's smaller sibling. It's fast, it's light, it's still heavily gunned.
It's very agile, good for recon. You can cut through canyons like a motorcycle, or you can go off jumps, and there's plenty of clearance for the player to be able to really let it rip and enjoy the terrain.
Visually with the Storm, we really tried to kind of push the futuristic feel of Tumbrel as a manufacturer.
I think the overall design feels very much like the Batmobile from the Christopher Nolan universe, and I love that look about it.
I think with the Nova, we played it fairly safe with the kind of the art style and the overall forms. Whereas with the Storm, we really want to do something a little bit new, show that Tumbrel could not only deliver kind of advanced weaponry, but visually they could kind of advance what they're known for. The big kind of selling point of the Tumbrel visually, for me, has got to be the tracks and the track covers and those whole pods. They really kind of help to add a feeling of dynamic movement into the vehicle.
So compared to the Nova, the Storm has quite an interesting enter-exit mechanic. So the whole front of the tank opens up in some sort of mouth-like contraption.
The whole front
That's
of
cool.
the
So instead of
tank
the top,
opens up and
it's
the
right
seat
forward.
kind of comes down and it kind of swallows you in.
The player sits on the seat that is presented to them and then is cocooned back within the ship.
When you kind of get sucked into this seat and the doors all close around you, it's just quite a unique experience.
It's kind of like you're wearing it.
You could say it's kind of like you're wearing it.
Like an armor.
Yeah. It's kind of got that feeling of a mech, but just the head. If you want to wear a tank, the Storm's for you.
There is no walkable interior compared to the Nova, so it is literally just you cocooned within inside the front of the tank.
Okay,
and I
so
think
there's
that
no
really
movable
helps
area.
to make the vehicle feel super safe and secure when you're inside it. It gives you a lot of confidence that you're sat in something that's super strong and robust.
The driver controls the gun and everything aboard the vehicle, whereas the Nova can operate with one crew, but it is best operated with 2 or 3 to share the load between all the additional weapons. For ground operations, they're designed to work in tandem together. The Storms to push ahead of the main ground force, to do some reconnaissance, figure out where the enemy is, figure out their strength, engage them if they are engaged, but then the Novas will take over to do the actual heavy lifting of the damage and engagement.
If you're looking for more speed, more maneuverability, the Storm kind of sits in a good spot where it's not quite a Cyclone and it's not quite a Nova, but it kind of sits in that middle part.
The gun is really cool. That took Nathan a couple weeks to come across, but as like one of his first projects with us, I think it was super successful.
Originally, it was supposed to be shooting bullets. We converted into an energy weapon after the fact. It's just more expensive to fire bullets. I think when it comes to a laser repeater, dollars to donuts, you know, shooting energy is much more cheaper than shooting bullets and twice as effective.
Oof.
So.
Nice. So they also looked at a like cost-effective way too. Is that a missile launcher? Whoa. So instead of having a turret, you can also have missile launchers
the Storm
on it.
AA trades out the bespoke top-mounted turret for a fixed missile array. It contains a very large amount of size 1 missiles and a selection of size 2 missiles.
You can now fire more missiles on this than anything else in the game currently.
So we're still working out
Nice.
the final numbers for this at the point of recording, but it's safe to say it has a lot of missiles.
So all at once you can fire a huge payload at your target.
You wouldn't want to be a ship near that thing because it has so many missiles.
We try and envisage all the ways players are going to use these vehicles. We're always surprised by what ends up in reality. So I think players are going to have lots of fun with this at sort of ground location like Ghost Hollow.
It is a light tank. It is pretty quick for a ground vehicle, but it still feels really strong.
Whilst the Storm is essentially
What do you guys prefer, the laser, the turret, or the missile array?
as wide as the Nova, limiting it to being able to be carried in some ships. It is much, much less tall than the Nova, so a lot of ships, such as the Gatac, couldn't fit a Nova, can fit a Storm. I expect to see Storms popping up a lot more all over the place.
Okay, so it's smaller and easier to carry in. That was great. I really like that.
So what did we learn this week? Well, we learned that the Tumble Storm, or as I like to think of it, the tank that you wear, is
Creator content
arriving
lead.
at IAE
He
this
finally
year
got
and
his
bringing
title.
with it an all-new anti-air variant.
His job
That
title,
the
I mean.
Spirit C1 joins the fray, hoping to give all those Cutlass and Freelancer mains out there a pretty stylish glow-up. And that tomorrow, Xi'an manufacturer Gatac tells the entire universe to hold its carrion and rotted leaves as it introduces a brand new starter to the mix. I could really use a nice 3D printed full color mock-up here. Wouldn't it look good? You know? If anyone's asking. For Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee. Thanks for letting us share the process of game development with you. And we'll see you all here for IAE Part 2 next week.
All right. That was a really great episode. Let's see if they have anything at the end.
So, what did we learn this week? Well, we learned that
Work in progress, bottom right, how not to host.
Tumbles an
bloopers.
all-new anti-air variant nope. Learned that enunciate. Do it again.
That'd be me.
And we'll see you all here, right here, for right here, here. So what did we learn this week? Boy, gee howdy, what did we learn this week? Sometimes you got it, and sometimes you don't. The tank that you wear.
Oh, he said it.
So what did we learn this week? Well, we learned
The color's going.
Is it? And we'll see you all here for IAE Part 2 next week.
Oh, that was a really funny ending there. All like the bloopers, because showing that it took more than one try to get the outro out. And it kind of reminds me when I first started YouTubing, because in the beginning when I started doing commentary and things like that, I can't even get a single intro in. It took at least 10 to 12 tries until I was like, whew, okay, I can put this out on YouTube. But it takes a lot of practice, and I'm still working on myself too, because I'm not the best speaker or the best presenter, so I still have a lot to work on and improving. So, but anyways, this was a really great video. The Gatac Sealand is a really great ship. I really like the style of it, the look of it. It is amazing how unique it is compared to like human ships. But I just did not expect other vehicles to be presented here, because I thought the entire 23 minutes was solely going to be on the Gatac Sealand. But either way, I was really happy that we took a look at the Tumbril Storm and also the Crusader Spirit C1. And besides that, I'm really looking forward to more Star Citizen videos. So thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for watching. That's all I got for today. Hit that notification bell so you know when I drop another video. And also shout out to all my members, subscribers, viewers. You guys are amazing. You guys are the reason why this channel keeps on going. So I really do appreciate it. So without anything else, I'll see you guys next time.